Hey guys, Alex from alexc.com. Now, today I'm going to talk about sustainability in a small medium enterprise business. Now, the thing is, this word sustainability is quite widely used by a lot of business. Um, and today I'm going to touch base the basic fundamentals of where we can tweak and actually own some responsibility when running a business. So, I was just going to break down four key points. Now, the first one is the purpose and the reason behind why we're doing it. And the second one is initiatives, like ways we can implement that is practical. And then the third one is to understand now the solution that we are quite uh, often introduced to is the word called compostable, right? So now the fourth one, we just talk about carbon footprint, and then we'll end it with a summary of what we'll talk about today. Now let's start with the purpose of the sustainability. Now the thing is, the reason why we're going to look into this is long term. Now that we understand that the world is getting a bit warmer, and so-called the global warming, and scientists have been really polite informing us. Now the global warming will cause a lot of uh, changes of the water rising level. Now it has been faced by some of the regions right now, and in the next 10-20 years, a lot of countries, especially the governments, are taking plan to really invest into this area to really mitigate this problem. Now, mitigation or not, the warming is going to keep going until we do something about it. So the thing is, today I'm going to talk about is mainly focus on the sustainability in terms of business because of the consumption. Now we know in terms of our responsibility is these three words started with reuse, reduce, and recycle. Now because we have the compostables coming in, it felt like there are options, but then which is the most efficient? Because we got to go back to practical as well. Now the reason with the purpose that I'm going to talk about right now is because there are three main things that we're going to be really considered about. Is the first one is people, because human generally, like, we want a place to really live in a place that is safe for everyone, even for your next generation. You got to invest in the community, and also like sometimes you got to take your time out to really input and contribute back to the nature. So, and the second one is actually the like I said just now, contributing back to the nature. Now the planet is actually interconnected with human being, and so 99.99% of the global warming, and in terms of the effect that we are creating for the past 50 years are actually done created by human. So we can do something about it. And then the third one is to really for prosperity reason, and because running a business, you got to have something that is designed sustainable, and so to help the business be prosper. As you prosper, you are able to do more, and then you cycle back to be able to be more efficient in the whole concept of sustainability apply in the ethos, or the vision of the business. Now that is a purpose and the reasons. Now the first one. The second one is initiatives. Now the thing is, a lot of people talk about sustainability. They talk it in what they call a fluffy approach and a feel good approach. But at the end of the day, we're going to look at you know factors that really works in long term. Now there's a couple of things that you can really contribute to your whatever that you're doing running in the business. Now you can start with your buildings. How you run your business in the buildings, and the buildings consist of like the water, the power, and the whole sort of energy consumption. How do you make it sustainable? So you get it from natural resources, or you get it from solar power, and how do you run and manage that water usage, retreat it, or recycle it, or channel it to the right place and back to the environment as little damage as possible. Now that's one side of buildings. Now the other one is products and services as well. Like you have products, and then they require services as well. Like you got products that you package and then you deliver it. So that whole chain from one end to the other end, if you put some consideration, you optimize it and tweak it in a way in line with the sustainability concept, that will also help massively contribute to the environment. Now there are a lot of materials when it comes to packaging. You can really think about. Now one of the things that I've recently heard about, with the post that they are using with all the plastics, they are considering ways to package it and to make it efficient, but at the same time, you don't damage your good for the sake of trying to use a material that you think is recyclable, or compostable, but it's not working on the package. So this is one thing that it has to be functions properly, so the damage on the product itself is significantly reduced. Because if you use the wrong packaging for the sake of trying to use it as a compostable form to protect that product, the risk of creating a damaged goods is actually more significant. So you're going to balance that in terms of considering what can be the most maximum effect to help environment. Now there are lots of material in terms of the recycle when it comes to the packaging. Now I've got a video in one of my channels. If you look through, there are a couple of different forms of materials that will have to go through certain to understand what it represents, and there are also the number codes that you can look into it, and you can understand what goes to where, because not all plastics are recyclable. So you got to look at the code behind it. Now look into the video in my library, in the YouTube library, and then you should be able to see a video that talks about recyclable codes. Now because the initiatives cover a lot of technical specs, I'm not going to talk too much about that today. Now the another part which is quite a big trend for the past few years, which is compostable, right? So compostable actually made out of different type of the raw material. So it's not really one size fit all, because you do have compostable that actually derives from oil, which is from the ground, and when you manufacture it into, let's say, a spoon or a fork or a plastic, once you use it, it will go back to the earth, and you got to look at the calculation of and the consideration of the gas emission when it's compost. Because if, let's say for example, if the gas emission of normal plastic on the ground compared to the compostable plastic, the release of the gas is equal, then you see my point that you don't see a reason using a plastic bag. So that comes down to reduce using plastic bag is the best solution if you haven't got that solution right. Now again, there are some compostable bag as well, use natural ingredients such as cornstarch and some other material that it can really blend back to the nature with very minimal gas carbon emission. So that can be considered as well, but you have to look into the scientific data, whether it's reliable or not. Now this is actually the initiative, but there are a lot of things that we can touch base, but I think we're gonna move down further with compostable, because when it comes to compostable, you got to look at end to end, which means from raw ingredients all the way to manufacturers and usage and go back to the ground. And then by evaluating that, you get an idea that how how efficient it is, because at the end of the day, compostable is not really the ultimate if the ingredients used are not friendly. You see, so when now I'm gonna move into carbon footprint a very in a very rough uh, point, because to measure a certain qualified carbon footprint standard, you actually have to go through a certain certification or review and assessment by people who are specialized in the whole manufacturing chain, and usually they will measure like your carbon footprint through a couple of points. For example, like human toxicity, so whether it's toxic to human or not, the materials, and then also water scarcity, like how that's going to influence the water usage, and so on and so forth, like in the chemical component side, and also a resource depletion, it can be about like minerals, metals, fossil fuels, like that sort of elements, where it came from, the source, and then also the acidification, so when it goes into the ground, and the level of the acidity of the ingredients, how will it affect the when it is starting from a raw ingredients, all the way to, let's say, being recycled or back to the earth, and again, like the energy that it consume in total, like on the non-renewable. So we're looking at the energy consumption, so because that puts a lot of that really works out, like energy consumption to create a product is high, then you got high cost on that, not just on money side, but it's also to the environment, and then you got like for what they call the photochemicals, ozone formation potential. Some of them, they call it summer smoke, like, and then the last one, I think, is the waste, the circulation indicators, and hazard of waste disposal, and non hazard waste. So these are the couple of things that you got to go through to really evaluate the carbon footprint, because I think a specialized body, for example, called the ISO 14044, they are pretty much like an auditor. They come in and they evaluate you through a checklist to give you the point where this whole activities is standing. Now, finally, I'm going to summarize it to look at the whole approach towards the sustainability in your small medium enterprise. Is you can do your part in this globe and this planet that everyone live together, because if you contribute a small portion, and it made out of the whole global of about 8 billion people population, you're gonna make a bit huge difference. So the thing is that you got to touch base with how you operate a business, and consider about like looking at assessing the effects, to execute, and your ability to do so. And as you execute, you could look at a holistic approach, without causing too much burden on the money side, because every action has a cost to it. Unless this is efficient, and in return regain the cost that you deserve, then you can turn it into a way it is more sustainable, and you're going to consider also like the functionality as well, and how the application can be not too complex, that you're gonna add more resources, which is causing like more problems. So then again, I'll just sum it up. I believe that to start with, the 3 R's and compostable, you're going to start with reduce. So reduce first with whatever you can, and doesn't matter, like even like reduce using a plastic, or if you can walk or cycle, you drive less, you don't burn too much petrol, or you minimize your consumption on anything that require a recycling. That is the best, right? So and then you got the reuse. So the reuse actually helps you to obviously make big difference, so then that leads us to the what you call recycle. So recycle is a form of reducing the what you call the it is apparently it's pretty efficient in terms of what you call the plastic leaking out to the environment. So as long as the chain of recycle, manufacturing, and consumer, and back to recycle again, that cycle is tightened up without much of the plastic leakage to the environment, then the operation and the power usage for that cycle is actually less minimum than like the just trying to use compostable to fill in the gap. So recycling itself has been designed pretty efficient in most of the countries, but if you learn how to use that without compromising other area of the environment, then you're pretty much like it's still the most efficient way. But then we can talk more about that. We're not going to touch base too much on the recycle because there are certain things good about it that you can control. Now the last one is compostable. Like I said just now, compostable has certain factors that you might look into it, and you're going to consider it compostable. Not all compostable are in terms of like carbon emission is efficient. So yeah, that's all. I hope you guys learned something out of this video today, and if you have any comments or anything that you want to add on to it, please message it below, and also feel free to subscribe to my channel and share it to anyone that you think might be benefits. So yeah, have a great day, and then please take care, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.